Welcome to Shape the Podcast, a podcast all about maintaining mental health by sharing stories from those who have overcome negative experiences and feelings, then turned them into something positive. Meet your host.
Oh, look at that. Put on the old mushroom hat to start the podcast out. But
yeah, man,
welcome to another episode of Shape the Podcast, everybody. I'm Kyle. You all know me. And then, of course, you all know my co-host that way, Mr.
Right
Jason
here.
Sewell. Yeah. So, it's been a long week since
it's been a long couple weeks
since we saw each other. You know, everybody that normally views this podcast knows what we did over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into that, let's just talk about how your life has been, you know, with your daughter, because we know that it was shared that she had some mental health struggles, and that she has now she's now in California at a treatment center. Let's talk. Give a Livy update.
Livy update. So I don't remember how much we discussed 2 weeks ago, but about 3 weeks ago, she was having urges to hurt herself, and she's been down that path before, but fortunately she reached out. She called my wife, and Amy picked her up and took her to the local hospital, where she spent just shy of a week being treated, but then also getting on a new medication, because she had been manic for a couple of months and not taking her medication. And, and you know, just that manic state by itself, that in itself is addictive, and it's a hard thing to fight. So I can't imagine the struggle she goes through with that. But so she's on a new medication now, and we were able to get her into a place in California called the Newport Academy down by Santa Monica. High rated place. And we decided we're going to stick her on a plane by herself, because she was ready to go. She was saying over and over she was ready to go. She was excited to go. She wanted to get better, but I could have taken her on a plane. I could have taken her in the Uber. I could have walked her up to the door and put her inside. But if it wasn't truly here and she wasn't ready, then it's not going to be successful. So I needed to know that she was truly ready to get the help she needs. So we put her on a plane. We let her handle the airport transfers. We let her handle the Uber. She walked up to the door and she checked herself in. So she's still a week in and in great spirits. We just had a video conference with her and her counselors on Monday. And it's looking very positive for her. Hopefully insurance holds out, because, you know, we're always at the mercy of the fucking insurance companies, but hopefully it goes well, because she's in the right frame of mind right now to get the help that she needs, and she's in the place to get it. So hopefully everything goes well for her.
Well, man, yeah, that's great. Like I remember when we were hanging out at, you know, Pittsburgh, how she would call, and you could just tell that, you know, she was right where she needed to be, and you could tell that she was in great spirits.
Yeah.
But speaking of Pittsburgh, you know, we did this little thing. Right? We, as two individuals, went to the World Great Mustache Championships, put on by some friends of ours, Mad Viking Beard Co. And so we sponsored the category. Right? So it was the business beard category, which is a little bit shorter than what my beard is. But all the sponsors plus all the winners got these sweet skate decks. Neither one of us were able to bring home a skate deck, but got pretty darn close. Right? As a matter of fact, one of our friends, Steve Pletcher, who's in the audience, got third in the Alaskan Whaler. So
damn you, Steve.
Yeah. And I believe you you tied for 7th. Is that correct?
I tied for 7th. That's correct. And you know what? Based on the group of guys that were in my category, they all deserved what they got, and I'm happy with what I got.
Yeah, because there were 22 of you.
22 whalers, because everybody loves a whaler.
That's the biggest whaler category that I've seen at any competition. I expected my category to have more than 22, but it had 12, and I was lucky enough to come away with a 4th place finish. Just barely at 4th, missing by half a point. So 4th place is always the hardest place, really, when it comes to those things. But yeah, that was a fun time there. Got to talk a lot about the podcast and just hang around with some awesome people.
Spread the word about it a little bit.
My feet are still hurting from walking.
Well, you were wearing like these canvas slippers, dude. Let's be honest.
Well, so that was one day that I wore those Vans, and then I slipped back into my my tennis shoes, and thank God I had my tennis shoes with me, because I would not be able to walk today. So, but yeah, but man, let's talk about our guest tonight, Logan Petersen. Right, he's got a great podcast called Dad Bods and Beards. He is also friends with Copper John himself, right? And he does a lot of work with them. And he was just named one of the top 10 mental health social media advocates. So he'll be coming on and sharing his story. So why not bring him on? Because I have a feeling that it's going to be great, and I have a feeling that he will probably make some people laugh and probably make some people cry. So
let's do it to it.
Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey guys, how are you?
Oh man, we are fantastic. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for saying, hell yeah, I'll do it without any question, which scares me, because most of the time I ask somebody to do something that they question.
Oh yeah, no, I'm appreciative of being here. So this is awesome.
But yeah,
good to have you.
Yeah, we are totally glad to have you. We were talking about before the show about how I found you, but probably some of my viewers don't know who you are. So introduce yourself, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, thanks. Well, thanks for having me on, guys. My name is Logan Petersen. I am a guy that has found out that with no shame and a dark sense of humor and social media access, you can have a lot of fun. I've been messing around on social media for about 4 years now. I probably should have started during the pandemic when everybody else did, because I probably would have made more money. But no, I started messing around on TikTok and stuff like that a couple years ago, and I was just doing funny stuff, blue collar stuff. I used to, do excavation and trucking and things like that. And then around my birthday one year, I decided to be a little vulnerable, talk about my history with bipolar, and I found my people really quick. Carried over to Instagram and Facebook and a few other things, and it took off. And it didn't come with a lot of pain and struggles and grit, but in January I was able to go full time with social media and podcasting.
Nice.
And it's definitely a labor of love. But we've found Tyson and I, the owner of Copper John's, he and I have been working together for about 3 years with Copper John's Beard and Grooming Company. And we've found that there's a lot of guys out there that needed permission to talk about the things that we've never been allowed to talk about. I'm of the opinion that it takes more strength and masculinity to talk about these things than it does to just bottle them up. And so when Tyson and I realized that we had a voice and we had some listening ears, both men and women, we fired up the podcast. We'd done some YouTube lives and stuff together through Copper John's, and it's really weird when you meet your best friend that you never thought you'd meet when you're in your mid 30s and he was in his mid 40s. And it's like a high school best friend. Like, it's so weird. We turn into kids when we're doing content and stuff together. But, yeah, I've been really, really blessed to have a couple of like hyper viral moments. I think some of my best videos ever have done 40, 50 million views across different platforms. And
nice.
A lot of them were dark mental health relatable jokes that makes everybody realize, we're all fighting different fights, but all the same fight at the same time. And I found that when you give guys permission to talk about those things, it really breaks down barriers and people feel more comfortable. And I'm a huge proponent of authenticity. That's the flag I will wave to the day I die. And so I am unapologetically myself on social media, and I've met amazing people, and we'll have some other stuff I'm sure we'll get into. But yeah, huge mental health advocate, and I'm thanks for the intro on that one, Kyle. I just recently last week, got that notification that I was ranked 4th on the mental health influencer side. And the cool part is the only 3 guys above me are all doctors. So they've all spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to get on that list, and I just had to be crazy. So
that's pretty awesome. So,
yeah, I think it was a nice recognition for sure.
You got PhD doctors and doctors with masters, and you're like, I got some McDonald's French fries.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only doctor in my house is a Dr. Pepper, so that's about it. So.
But that's got to be pretty awesome that you got that recognition. But you were talking about bipolarism. Let's talk about that. When did you discover, or when did you find out that, hey, maybe I do suffer with mental health?
So that's a fun and not fun story, and I'll give you the not 6-hour version. But it 2017 I was diagnosed bipolar, and it was after a very long, rough, almost decade. Because bipolar is one of those ones where it presents itself in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's misdiagnosed as borderline personality disorder. Sometimes it's just depression, just anxiety, just, sometimes schizophrenic situations. Sometimes, it's just really bad ADHD. I was diagnosed ADHD years ago, right when my wife and I first got married, right around 2013. And we thought that was the answer, and immediately started getting pumped full of Adderall.
Not the answer.
Some people, Adderall helps them function and they are great with it and nothing ever happens. But when you're bipolar, that is like the worst pharmaceutical that they could ever put you on. It is a massive stimulant. I became very addicted to it very quick and was taking far too much for years. Wasn't sleeping, which lack of sleep in general is horrible for anybody, let alone when you throw some mental illness and chemical imbalances in there. I was sleeping a couple hours a week at times. But long before that, even before that, when I was about 19, I think the first time I could ever put my finger on the first disassociation moment, first extreme manic episode, I actually was having hallucinations. I was raised in a pretty high demand religion, and I went on a mission for that church. I was pretty into it for quite a while. And when I was in my first ever grown up big boy moment away from mommy and daddy, I was in another country for 2 years. And then I, started hallucinating that I was being chased by demons. And I just chalked it up to, well, I'm doing God's work, so of course they're going to be chasing me. Come to find out, it was just completely, years and years later, it was just chemical imbalance.
Yep.
And that had nothing to do with theology or dogma or anything like that. And and it was, I masked that for years. And it wasn't until, from 19 until 27, I was fine, fine.
Yeah.
Which, if you've ever seen The Italian Job, it stands for freaked out, insecure, neurotic, emotional, right? That's what FINE stands for. But I mean, I had sleepwalking moments. I had extreme depression, suicidal ideation, some attempts and things like that, which they all went unnoticed. Got married in 2013 to one of the best humans to ever walk this earth. I will say this till the day that I die. If you have a problem with my wife, you are undoubtedly the problem. She is every bit of empathy and love and light and kindness that exists in this world. And I do not know how I was blessed to have that woman in my life. And then we started having kids. We've got 2 kids, but there was just years of just signs that my wife was picking up on, that extreme depression, extreme mania, horrible with finances. I mean, I could sit here forever. But these, I don't share all of those stories because they're not just mine to share. They happened to my wife as well.
Yeah.
Left her with a lot of PTSD. That's one of the things that Trust is gained in drops and lost in buckets. And there's definitely been bucket moments in our relationship and our marriage because you promise to spend forever with somebody. You promise to give them everything. You promise to be the rock. You promise. And you have these broken moments because you are not talking to anybody.
Yep.
You got to be okay. You got to be fine. You got to handle all the stress. And it's robbing Peter to pay Paul when you aren't making the commissions because you are sitting in an 8x8 cubicle and you are losing your mind. And that was my story. I was an insurance agent. I worked 2 desks away from my dad for 2 years straight, and he had no idea. You get really good as a man just playing pretend all day long.
It's because you know, like you said, we as men are trained that we can't talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, or we can't do anything about it because that makes us weak.
Yeah.
You know? And I too grew up in a very religious household.
Yeah.
But really, like for me, I didn't think I struggled that bad with my mental health when I was growing up. It was when I got out of my household and started becoming what I thought a man should become. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if it wasn't for my wife, I don't think I would be here. You know?
And did you notice what you just said, Kyle?
What's that, sir?
The man you thought you should become, because that's the societal standard.
Yep, it is.
That everybody is stuck with.
Yep. And society was wrong. Thank you.
Well, one of the biggest causes of men's mental health issues are other men. Like we tell each other what we can and can't do. We tell each other what's okay and what's not okay, what's weak, what's masculine, and we cause the majority of our own stigmas. Obviously that's not, 100% of the time. There are a lot of women that are not equipped to handle an emotional or a vulnerable man. And
thank God we have wives that are.
Yeah. And unfortunately we probably all know guys that don't have somebody that, might be that person for them in their life. And I was blessed with having met the woman who would eventually save my life, and I had no idea. But it kind of all came to a head when we had realized after a lot of hallucination moments, and I even had some quote possession moments, which is basically just an extreme manic episode. That I started having blackout periods, and it hit a point where my wife just like, you need help. Like this isn't okay. And I am grateful for her firm hand, in telling me what was going to happen, as she was pregnant with our son at the time. My daughter was, she was like 19, 20 months old, just this little infectious toddler. And I had some pretty dark blackout periods where I woke up, so to speak, and she was distraught, sitting on the floor, screaming and crying, holding her stomach because she's pregnant with our son. And I didn't know what had been going on. And that led to some emergency psychiatric intervention. And kind of one of the biggest parts of my story, so to speak, was when it was all kind of came to a head and conversations happened that Logan needed some help from, some specialists and things, that we met up with my parents one night. It was about 45 minutes away, and it was discussed that my dad was going to take me to a psychiatry appointment in the morning. Well, that messes with your head when you are dropped off to your mommy and your daddy by your pregnant wife with your baby in the back seat. And you are taken to your childhood home to sleep in your bedroom because your daddy's taking you to a psychiatry appointment in the morning. That is the most emasculated I've ever felt in my entire life. I felt like I had failed everything. That my wife and my beautiful daughter and my soon-to-be son were all 45 minutes away, and I was in my mommy and daddy's house going to go see the doctor because I couldn't handle my shit anymore. And when in reality, that's what I was telling myself. That's so far from the truth. That was what my sick brain was saying, was this guy that you have become is unacceptable. This guy that you've become is so weak, Logan. I mean, it's this terrible voice in the back of your head. And I don't know if you know the artist Ren. He does some amazing music. He talks about that little voice in the back of your head that says, you can't kill me without killing yourself. And that's such a dark dark but impactful statement. And that's where the suicidal ideation comes from, is that so many guys, and I get red-faced, see blood, see red type when people start saying phrases of like, oh, he took the easy way out. Or, or they talk about suicidal ideation so negatively, as if it is this easy thing that someone just couldn't hack it or couldn't cope. Because I wrote my wife 3 different goodbye letters because I felt like I was doing her a service by removing me from her life. I felt that my children would be better off without even knowing me, because I was such a burden and a tax. And I felt like, sure, it would escape some pain from myself, but at the same time, it would be more to the benefit of those that I was tearing down. That was the whole gist of it for me. And I snapped. I had a blackout period, and oh, there he is. There's Tyson. But he's heard this story a million times. But yeah, I blacked out that night, and I woke up just over 3 miles away from my parents' house, in a pharmacy parking lot after closing. Thankfully, there was a guy there in the parking lot waiting for his wife to get off work, and my phone was dead. And I was able to get a hold of him, or he let me use his phone, and called my wife. And I immediately started trying to rationalize and excuse where I was and what was going on. No, it's fine. I'm okay. My phone just died. And I was not naked. Tyson loves to throw that one in there, that Logan was naked when I was not. I was fully clothed.
I just had to put that up there.
I even had shoes on. Yeah.
I debated whether we should throw that one up there, but
yeah.
We've been
in the middle of the darkest and heaviest conversations, and Tyson is just like, bam, mood killer. Right. But
well, thanks. I appreciate it, Tyson, because I'm not gonna lie, but you were bringing some emotions up.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's this is where people, they feel empowered to talk about stuff, and that's
good. Yeah,
that's kind of where it all kind of came to a head. That was like a pivotal moment for me, because I'm sitting there on the phone with my wife, this little 5'2", gorgeous little blonde, that she just is like, no, I'm not okay with this. This is not okay. This has got to stop. You are not okay. This whole situation is so far from okay. Stop telling me you're fine. Stop telling me this. Like, you look where you're at. It was like the appropriate amount of like slap in the face logic. And in that moment, my dad comes barreling into the parking lot. My wife must have been texting people or trying to get a hold of people while we're talking. My mom comes barreling in, and then all the police start coming in. And I'm realizing in that moment, there's been people out looking for me for a long time. And that
just shows it that all those people, I mean, the cops are just doing their job, but
yeah,
your mom, your dad, your wife, that just shows that they care.
Well, and that was actually another pivotal moment. Was I in that moment I'm like, okay, I'm freaking out. I mean, it's weird when you're in that state of mind, even though you've got no problem with the law. I felt like I needed to run because I see police coming in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble, and which is the furthest thing from the truth. And it makes you almost have a little bit more sympathy for somebody who might be having a psychotic moment that is getting involved with law enforcement. But I walked over to my mom's Suburban, and I grabbed the handle like I'm going to get in and just go home. And she had the window cracked and the door was locked, and she did not want to let me in. And it was this realization of like, my mother is scared of me right now. Mm-hmm. And I start grabbing the handle and just jerking on the handle. And I'm like, Mom, open the door. And I'm starting to get like irate. And then the police come over. Same thing. One guy doing his job, being all authoritative. And if you ask Tyson, I am not a authority guy. Like I don't like, I will respect it, but if you come over and command me to do things, I'm going to get a little bit more hot-headed. And then on top of that, I'm already off my rocker. But it took a female officer to come over and calm things down. And her name is Katie. Still talk to her to this day. She was another one that saved my life. I don't know what she said. I can't remember exactly what she said to get me to stop, look her in the eyes, and listen. And then she calmed me down, got me into a state where she took me to the hospital. She said, look, if you get in the back of my car, I can take you to the back door of the emergency room. We don't have to go through the front. We don't have to do the registration stuff or whatever. I can get you right in through the back door and right into a room, and you can get help right now. And she talked to me for like 30 minutes the way to the hospital. just got me into this state of mind of like, hey, it's okay to get help. And the cool part is she wasn't even called to go there. There was multiple calls, I guess, coming in from my wife, from my parents, to 911 that, hey, this is, his name's Logan. We can't find him. He should be roughly in this area. They were looking all in the wrong spots because I was 3 miles away from where they were looking. And she heard calls coming in that there was a man running down the road, a dark road in traffic. I was running at cars, and I don't remember doing this. So she just put 2 and 2 together. Hey, we've got a mental health case. We're trying to figure out what's going on, and we're also got a guy that's acting erratic, somewhere nearby but not as close. So she put 2 and 2 together, and they got the call that I was in this area. She just happened to go there, and long story short, Katie stayed with me in the ER for quite a while, making sure I was okay. She could have gone back out on duty. She could have got back on patrol, but she stayed there and she talked to me. She talked to my dad. And then when she finally felt like it was okay to leave, she gave me her card and she said, I want you to call me in 5 years because you're going to be okay. She's like, I've got no doubt in my mind you're going to be okay. And it was really cool that 5 years later, I got to call her and be like, hey, I'm actually better than okay. We're doing this. I'm on social media. I'm a mental health advocate. And then just this last year in December, we took our family home to California, Sacramento, where we were from. And I got to introduce my wife and my children to the police officer that helped save my life.
Oh yeah.
So, and the cool twist is that she has since become a mental health resource officer, and she trains other law enforcement officers on how to handle situations like that.
And we need more of that.
Yeah, 1000% we do. So that's a major why for me, is that I would not be physically here if there were not certain people put in place, call it whatever you want, divine intervention, call it luck, call it karma, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I am here because of the efforts of a lot of people. And in that following morning in a psychiatry appointment, it was made aware to me that, hey, you're bipolar. You're addicted to Adderall. The Adderall is making you do some crazy stuff. Let's get going in the right direction. And then it's been 8 years since that time.
Oh. So what are you on anything now, or is it just now it's you're at that point to where when episodes are going to happen?
So I've been on everything. That was the thing, is that bipolar individuals have this ability to go from the lowest of lows to, you have a lot of amazing entrepreneurs and business owners that are bipolar because this thing clicks and you're just high on life. You're high on your own brain chemicals, and you are the main character. And I've been on pretty much every single thing. I've tried them all. Some worked great for a long time. Some made things worse. I've done all different types of talk therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy. And the biggest thing for me was consistency and just and getting out of my own way and learning trigger management and not trigger avoidance. Learning when, hey, this feels like a red flag, and owning up to the fact that my wife knows me better than I know myself. And when I'm like, oh no, I'm not exhibiting any of this, and she's like, the hell you are.
Yeah,
the hell you are. This feels a lot like this, and I owe it to her to honor that. And there's been times where I haven't. I'm not claiming to be perfect by any means. There's been a lot of times where I've still caused problems. And with bipolar, you have a huge addictive personality. That's why I don't pursue anything that could potentially the everyday average person, can handle. But, if you have like an addictive personality, like, even though I'm not, a religious guy anymore, I still don't drink because I would just be afraid of what that could do to me. I don't do, different recreational drugs just because I'd be afraid of what that could do to me or what that could drum up. But for me right now, I'm at a point where I'm not taking any medication. But I do have a lot of healthy practices that I partake in. So I'm huge into meditation. I'm huge into breath work. Tyson and I have been on this health journey for almost about a year now, and it is amazing what taking care of your physical health will do for your mental health. Like getting outside. You don't have to be extreme with it, but just drinking some more water, go for a walk, go for a run. Tyson and I, we took on some crazy stuff. I ran a marathon. He ran a half marathon when neither of us could even run a mile last year.
That's awesome.
Just to prove that you're capable of a hell of a lot more than you tell yourself that you are.
Yeah.
And and I've done I'm a huge proponent for this. Anybody that is looking for help with their mental health, ketamine therapy is one of the best things that I've ever done. Because it actually helps repair your neural pathways in your brain. It actually helps your brain chemistry balance itself. I did it through, actual licensed clinicians. I did it with a doctor's help. I didn't just, get ketamine somewhere off the back of a truck and go about it that way. It was, full on through the doctor's office. I've done it, in a clinic, when I've also done online telehealth.
Yeah.
And it's like giving the little guy in the back of your brain the microphone, and he's just like, all right, dude, it's time to talk about some stuff.
But also, if, like you said, if you're not going through a doctor or anything like that to do that, it can be very addicting as well.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's what happened. That's what Matthew Perry died from. From the show
I
Friends.
was gonna say Matthew Perry died from ketamine overdose. I mean, I've seen a lot of people become so addicted to it that they have passed away due to ketamine. So, yeah, I mean, it's like anything else in life, like especially with meds, things like that. Do it prescribed.
Yeah,
that's hard to say. Because I have an addicting personality.
Yeah.
I never got into prescription drugs, thank God. But
Yeah.
my thing was cocaine. But really, it's one of those things where if you're afraid to do it and afraid of what it might cause, then reach out to somebody. Be like,
Yeah.
hey, I got this. But I'm afraid of it. And that's what you did. Ketamine. I mean, it's working.
Well, that was somewhat of a recent discovery. I mean, I've done it once I did it a handful of times through my doctor's office, and that was very much so kind of like giving blood. You go in there, you sit down, give you an IV, and they're like, "Hey, go home, see you later," which was like cool. You feel kind of disassociated. You feel kind of woozy. It gets in there, works in your system a little bit. But this company that I use now, it's called Mind Bloom, and it's at home, comfortable. You're doing telehealth appointments, and they are so adamant they grill you and have these ways of talking to you to make sure that you are using it appropriately. And and it's all through the mail, and they only ever send you enough for like a session. Like you're not getting quantities enough at a time to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And then it's all noise canceling headphones with eye masks and guided meditations. So these ketamine therapy you're going through is intended to make your brain and your cognitive state to work on the things that you need to work on, and not just take some dissociative drug and disappear for an hour and a half. It's doing a lot of internal, what they call shadow work. And then you're coming out of it, and you've got 30 to 45 minutes of journaling. And then you do follow-up phone calls where you're discussing these journeys with licensed professionals, and they're helping you bring in different connections. And then you do group sessions with other men or other people in similar situations. And it was all around intention, because I'm huge on intentions. And it was life-changing for me. When you take it from, doctor shot me up with ketamine once before and it was okay, versus this time it was 6 guided sessions where it was pointing you in the right direction towards resolution type therapy and helping you grow. And I learned so much about myself. I processed years of guilt that I lived with because of what I put my wife through. And I ended up writing a letter to my younger self and saying, hey, you did what you did. And, it's okay. You were the guy that had to get us through those dark times, but I'm going to take it from here. You can rest now. And I had this almost like dream, funeral for my past self. And it was it was quite the situation. So
Something happened with Kyle, but keep going. He'll be right back.
he's gonna go blow his nose or something, right? But no, it was I mean I'm a big believer in like there's no one right answer for anybody, right? I mean,
Correct.
and it's all about like with dad bods and beards, our whole motto is that it starts with you. No one's gonna get you and pull you out of bed. They might once or twice. No one's going to drag you to the doctor's office. You know, again, they might once or twice, but eventually it hits a point where you're going to have to be the one to stay consistent with medication or a treatment plan or something that brings you peace or find different ways that will help ground you. Or like I said, one of the biggest things I learned was the trigger management, because we got so much of society that's like, oh, we got to avoid triggers. Now that's just prolonging a problem versus when I mean, I'm sure you have experiences with your daughter.
Yeah, her diagnosis is bipolar. So your story parallels my experience that we've had with her. So
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
From a parent, how old is your daughter, if you don't mind me asking?
She just turned 21.
Okay.
That was one of the hardest factors in her decision to go to the facility is she knew she would miss her 21st birthday.
Yeah.
And that was hard for her to accept.
So as a father, as a parent, what was it? Because obviously I know it on my side. What was things like with you on the parent side?
Sorry about that. I had some technical difficulties, but I'm back.
Yep. No problem. Welcome back. So it's tough being on the outside, seeing when you were saying how your wife would point out when you were showing signs of manic behavior, but you didn't recognize it yourself. It was difficult because my wife and I would see these signs. She would not want to hear it. And like I had stated to Kyle, I don't know if you could hear before we started, but I'm sure it was so tough for her because that manic state in and of itself is exhilarating. It is addictive in and of itself because of how good you feel when you're in that state. But to recognize that it's unhealthy is a huge step. And she never had the opportunity, or she was never able to recognize that that's a bad place to be. So we see it, but there's nothing we can do to help her, especially for the last 2 years, because as an adult, even though she was living here, as an adult, she could do whatever the hell she wants. And there's very little control we had. It's tough. It was tough on the outside.
Well, I mean, I often wonder because my dad went with me to my first psychiatry appointment, and that's one of the few interactions that's actually seared into my brain. Right? I'm in this whole emasculated state. Right? This is literally the morning after that super traumatic situation, which I will say, absolutely use 911 if you have to.
Yep.
Right. Absolutely go if you have an opportunity to go to the emergency room. People will stabilize you and they will keep you here. The emergency room is not a psychiatrist. They have social workers on hand. They have people that are designed to keep you alive. It takes more than the emergency room after that.
Yep.
We eventually ended up leaving the emergency room because my father was like, there's nothing being done by this hospital. After they kind of stabilized me, then they just kind of left me.
Right.
It's because they couldn't, like, hey, yeah, we'll let you talk to a social worker.
Yeah, that was what it is. And so it was like, okay, well, this, it's time to go. He's, stable enough.
Yeah.
Went home, crashed for a little bit, emotionally drained, as you could probably imagine. And then he took me to the psychiatry appointment, and it was like, you don't realize when your brain, like, it was almost like it had overheated. I'm sitting there filling out the, the intake paperwork. Cause I'm an adult, like I'm 27. I've got kids. I got a wife. Like I can do my own. And I'm just sitting there, and I literally had to turn to my mother and ask her how old I was, because I could not remember if I was 26 or 27. Like it was like, I couldn't remember. And it was kind of like, she's still kind of in shock. And I remember her putting her hand on my leg and be like, you're 27, honey. And I'm like, whoa, like it was just so. And then they call you back. My mom chose to stay in the waiting room. I think she was very, very much so tapped out. My dad went in with me. They were sitting there 15 minutes. This lady needed 15 minutes to have me just like dialed in. We're telling her all these things just left and right. My dad's telling her this, whatever, all these signs coming out, whatever. And she just goes, yeah, you have ADHD pretty bad, but you're bipolar. And she's like, you need to get off Adderall right now. She's like, that is making she's like, you are putting a megaphone up to what you're going through right now because of that. And then come to find out, I was prescribed 80 plus milligrams, a day, but I was taking 120 plus because I was trying to fix myself and I realized I was addicted to it. And, she starts talking about treatment plans. She starts talking about therapy. She starts talking about medication. And I was the first one in my family to ever have a mental health concern. Mm-hmm. And I'm one of 7 kids, right in the middle. And my dad, not a bad bone in his body, says to the doctor, but doesn't that change you? Doesn't psychotic, antipsychotics, don't they change you? Don't they kind of take away part of your personality? And he goes, because we don't want to lose our happy-go-lucky Logan, because I was always the happy kid. I was always trying to make everybody laugh. I was always trying to make everybody feel good. And this woman, it floored me. She looks at my dad. She goes, well, the man that he's letting you believe is not the real Logan. She's like, that's the mask he's wearing. And it was in that moment, I'm like, who the hell is this lady that just saw me? Like, so it was like I figuratively took off this mask, and it was like for the first time in 27 years, like even with my wife, because I'm still, I'm putting on a show for her too. But she knows me so well that she can see through that stuff a lot too. But this complete stranger being like, that's not the real Logan. That's who he's letting you believe is Logan. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it broke me. It broke me harder than the night before. I just sobbed. I sobbed. I like harder than I'd ever cried in my entire life. And it wasn't because I was sad. It was like this release of like, I don't have to be this guy anymore. And it was like this massive like moment of permission. And it's funny is the kind of the rolling, theme here is that it was women. My wife gave me permission to admit that I'm not okay and that this isn't fine by telling me like, no, not this anymore. We're done with this. It was a female police officer that got me in the car to go to the ER and stayed with me and my dad to like reassure me that, hey, you're in the right place. And then it was this female psychiatrist to just be like, dude, like, this is not you. Like, stop pretending that this is you. You don't have to do this. You're in the right place. You're making you're taking the right steps. And it was the permission and the recognition and like the validation that like, there is nowhere else in the world that you need to be right now than on this couch in this office talking about these issues, because this is where it all starts. And so it was just this like I was drained beyond belief. And she said first thing we're gonna do is you're gonna sleep. And they gave me, I don't even remember what they gave me, but I slept for days. But that wasn't like, oh, everything's fixed. Everything's great. Everything's fine now. Got a couple pills. You're on your way. No. It takes so much freaking work. And I don't say that lightly. And then the crazy thing through the whole thing, I was back to work on Monday. 3 days later, back to the cubicle because I had a wife. I had babies. I had a son on the way. It's which, that's, so the whole point of what I feel like I'm trying to do on social media with what we're trying to do with the Dad Bods and Beards podcast and all of the amazing opportunities that we've had and this charity beard competition that we have coming up is I'm trying to create, along with Tyson, and he has his reasons why, trying to create the spaces that 27-year-old Logan needed at that time that I didn't know existed. They probably existed somewhere. But like, if I would have saw a big old bearded dude who thought he was cool telling me that talking about your mental health was okay and was cool, I probably would have gone to it a lot sooner. But I was following all the wrong guys on social media. I was following the alpha bros. I was following the lions, not sheep. I was following, and it's just, that's not where it's at. Like,
well, guess what? The 27-year-old Logan, the 25-year-old Logan, the 40-year-old Logan, however old people are, guess where they're welcomed at? Right here on this podcast.
Yeah.
And so you were talking about dad bods and beards. Let's let's talk about that, because you're doing some pretty awesome work with that, in your own little circle of social media and getting recognized. Like, tell everybody that doesn't know about dad bods and beards, tell everybody what that is about,
So that's a fun one. That actually sparked from, the bearded weirdo side of YouTube, right? Like the groups that we've all, the product reviews and things like that. I feel like the beard community popped off during the pandemic, right? Because we all ran to YouTube.
Yeah.
And I feel like everybody was active and all these stuff. And
nobody had to go to the office, so they stopped shaving.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And depression beards, man. Like everybody just popping them out. And that's part of the reason why I started growing a beard back in the day, is it made me feel more manly, made me feel more masculine. And then I'm like, wow, I've got a decent beard, and I never really grew it out super long. And when you're walking around and you get the, hey, sick beard, bro. Oh, dude, that shoots right up your spine, and you're like,
pop your chest out.
Yeah. And you're like, oh yeah. You're like, and then you got resting pillage the village face, right? You're like, people think that you're this big tough dude. And then you get guys of like, oh, I wish I could grow a beard like that. And you're like, hey, this is something I'm good at. And then you make your personality, and then you find the community, and then you're like, everybody's so chill over here. And everybody, like, it's just, I mean, and you guys have been to the competitions. It's just a vibe the whole time. And then
I've never been to a beard competition. Like, I don't.
Oh, they're infectious.
I don't know what those are about. I've only been to, like, I can't count how many.
Yeah, a million.
but yes, but like you were saying, like the beard. It's like, and I want everybody to know this out there. What you have on your body, whether it be tattoos, or facial hair or piercings, that doesn't define who you are. What defines who you are is what's in here.
I love that, man.
And that's my thing. This beard is just another way for me to give back. But really, what really defines me, and I had to work on it for a long time, is this. My character is my heart. My love and my faith for everything is my heart. So yeah, everybody should know that, because just because you have a beard doesn't make you a great man. What makes you a great man or a great person is what's in here. So,
like we said before we got recording, we're like, I know a lot of assholes with a beard.
Yes. Yes.
And that's why, I mean, Tyson with Copper Johns, his motto is be proud of who you are. I mean, we all know a bunch of, some of the more commercialized beard companies that are all about, if your beard doesn't look like this, you're not a man. And it's like, I mean, we've all been to the beard comps where it's like, there's a million different categories, you guys. There's a million different ways to express yourself. There's a million different, there's guys that have pulled off freestyle beards and I'm like, I could never. Like, that is insane. Like just the time and the effort and just the
I wouldn't have the patience for that.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'd forget up halfway through and just get pissed and shave it off. And so, but that's, I mean, Tyson and I was doing stuff on TikTok and I came across Copper Johns. Somebody was doing a review on TikTok, and I reached out and I was like, hey, what's your scent profiles like? I've been using these companies for a while. And he was like, he saw some of my stuff and he's like, hey, why don't I send you out a couple of samples and you can do a little review for me? Because I was building my following at the time. And he's like, what's your address? I give it to him and he's like, oh, you're here in Utah. So am I. And then we I don't know what it, he was like, hey, can I call you? So he gives me his number over TikTok. And next thing you know, we're chatting. And we actually met at Snowbird here in Utah when the Nationals were here in Utah. That was the first time he and I ever met up. I helped him work the booth. I took second in my category only because the guy ahead of me cut his beard. He trimmed his beard shorter the night before so that he could compete down one. So I'm like, I would have taken it. But, and then I was on Tyson's, YouTube live a couple weeks ago, or a couple weeks later, not a couple weeks ago. This was years ago. And, he's like, yeah, let's talk about social media. Let's talk about this. And it was just, similar thing. And the whole time was like, you guys are ridiculously funny together. You guys are, and it was just kind of clicked. Like you meet a buddy and you feel comfortable with, started hanging out, started shooting some dumb content together, started doing, best friend joke stuff all over social media. And then we do lives, when he'd come out with scent of the month or things like that together. And we kept getting hey guys, can you start a podcast? Can you start a podcast? And we're like, we kicked it around for like 6-8 months. And then we finally did. And the funny thing is my father-in-law, I love him to death. He's more like my friend than he is my father-in-law. And he goes, I told him, I was like, hey, me and Tyson are going to start a podcast. And he literally goes, every middle-aged white guy has a podcast. And he goes, what are you going to call it? Dad
he
bods.
is true.
Yeah. And then he goes, what are you going to call it? Dad bods and beards. And I was like, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
And now he wears my shit. He wears our hats. He wears our shirts, and super supportive guy. And it was like 2 episodes in, and we were just kicking it, just talking, talking about dads, talking about being fathers and husbands and stuff. And within like the first 2 episodes, 3 episodes, it just got heavy. And we're like, oh, when you start talking with people you trust, start talking with people that you get, you can be vulnerable around. And then some messages started coming in. Hey, that episode meant a lot to me. And we started doing some stuff on social media, and then it got bigger, and we found a little bit more of our voice. We found a couple of different companies that wanted to sponsor us, and we got into a studio, and then we found a management and a production company that believed in the message and wanted to, there's a lot of companies that will take advantage of you out there. And we've been very blessed to be taken under the wing of a very large production company that does not seek to take a cut like ways that they could and take advantage. And we've been given a lot of amazing opportunities. We've met a lot of amazing people. We have got amazing people that we've connected with on the other side of the world, because I sit down and talk with my best friend once a week.
Mm-hmm.
At least the conversations you guys get to hear. We talk about all kinds of stuff during the rest of the week. But it stemmed in this whole movement of just like feeling like there's just more we have to do, because there's so many guys out there that just are just tired.
Yep.
And they're exhausted. And we're like, if we can make this show feel like they're just riding in the truck with us, or sitting around the campfire, or we're just shooting the shit, fishing, or just, call me if you need to talk. And I mean, I've had guys from the UK call me because they were struggling. And it's an eye opener when you realize, like, hey, it takes one guy to make you realize that what you're doing is worth it. And so yeah, and we've been blessed to where we're flying out to Florida next month to do a charity beard competition for veterans and first responders that suffer from PTSD. And we're doing it with Justin Danger Nunley from TikTok, and he's a veteran. He's going to be retiring here in September. And that's another cool thing. That dude is massive. I don't even want to. I can't even imagine the brand deals.
He has a following, and his and that's really how I found out about you, was through him. Because when you shaved off your beard and he made fun of you, called you a girl or
he's like, why would you do that? He's like, that thing's better than mine. And so that's why I hit him back with a video and was like, hey,
you did, and it took off.
Yeah, I was like, hey, you do this with us. I was like, we'll fly out to you. We'll do a podcast with you. We'll do a charity beard competition for veterans. And I was like, I'll let you shave my beard off at the end of that. So I have got 28 days before I have no beard. I know that's a cardinal sin, but it's for a good cause. It's for a good cause. And
but plus, like you said, your beard grows back. Just add water. It goes
dude,
back.
if I sneeze too hard, this thing grows. I mean, this is a year, and I get it trimmed every 6 weeks.
But it's also, like, this isn't a bearding podcast, but it's also about what you're feeding your face.
Oh yeah,
just like your mental health. If you're putting all that crap inside your body, then how good is it?
Well, that's the funny thing is, you guys know this, and I mean, Jason, with your involvement with with a beard care company. I mean, you talk to these guys that so many people think that beards are gross, right? I know you guys do that, but I'm like, you shave a beardsman's face, like you shave his beard off. We all have amazing skin underneath our beard because it's so hydrated, it's so clean, it's so like well taken care of.
Yeah.
My wife uses beard oil, like, because it's so good for her skin. And I mean, that's the whole gist of all this, is I think that we've hit this point in current history where there's enough guys, and I thank you guys for what you're doing with this. And I mean, I was talking to Aaron Johnson the other day, and I've seen his posts about his time on your guys' show, and it just takes this to me is true masculinity. This is redefining masculinity, is guys stepping up, because I'm a firm believer that if we didn't have the capacity for emotions, then that's when we shouldn't feel them. Everyone says like, oh, guys shouldn't be emotional, guys shouldn't be like, then why do we have the capacity for emotions? Why do we have the capacity for empathy? Because the biggest win is when, like you said with your daughter, Jason, like when you feel like you can connect with them and you can see them for what's going on, and then turn around and put that to the test and trust them. And like, I'm getting, chills because we share, our daughters share names, and she's still just a baby. And that's why I was asking your opinion earlier. But that, to me, this is what masculinity is.
Well, yours is still young, so she still loves you.
Oh yeah. Well, she's
12
feisty.
and 13, things start to change.
No, she is 9.
Yours loves you too, there, Jason.
Yeah, she is 9.
Well, they come back home to roost, though, Kyle.
Yeah, do they?
Let me tell you, the hormones start kicking in at 12 or 13, and man, the world changes.
She's already 17 in her mind, man. She looks every bit like her mother, so she's going to give me problems one day. But she is definitely has so much of my personality, and I'm like, damn it. I'm like, you are beautiful and you are a handful. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to gear up whoever she decides to, marry one day. I'm like, listen, let me give you the breakdown on this girl. But yeah, and I love opportunities to talk like this. I love getting opportunities to, to connect with other guys and other people, because it's smashing the stigma of like, I mean, the cliche thing of I'd rather have a guy, crying on my shoulder than carrying his casket on my shoulder. It's just we're men are 80% of suicides every year. 80%. Like that's, I mean, not that you'd wish that one gender or one demographic would do it more than the other, but it's like that is starks in comparison to any other statistic. And it's because we tell each other we can't talk about it. It's because we tell each other that it's weak. It's because we tell each other all these things, and it's until one guy tells another guy over and over and over, like, hey, call me. Let's talk about this. Like, what can I do for you? And sometimes it's whenever I have a guy that talks to me, and sometimes Tyson was that guy for me today. I had a breakdown earlier today with some stuff I'm going through. And he was like, do you want me to just listen, or do you want me to listen? Do you want me to respond? Do you just need to bitch for a little bit, because sometimes it just gets it out? Or do you need some advice?
Yeah.
And that's sometimes all it takes is a guy, a guy holding space for another guy, or a woman holding space for you. And unfortunately, you'll find people that won't. And
if it wasn't for that guy, Jason,
yeah,
this podcast would not be here. Like, because back in December, when I had that time of my life where I was going through some crap, I deleted everything. I deleted the social media page. But if it wasn't for him, this would not be going on still. It would have dissolved back in December. But he knew that I would want to continue. And deep down inside, I did want to continue. I was just going through that phase of my life to where I was like, all right, if I'm hurting, everybody else is gonna be hurting. So really, I mean, I owe a lot of gratitude to that guy.
I knew this platform was as therapeutic to you, Kyle, as you believe it is for other people that watch it and who are on it. So
it is.
I wanted it to be there for you when you were ready to come back, not fade away.
It's great to have. It's great to have those guys that believe in you to the point to where they're like, all right, I got you. I'll carry you. I'll be there through thick and thin. And we need that. Like you said, we need that as men. We need those guys that will put up with us for a whole weekend in Pittsburgh, and just chit chat and have fun.
Well, it makes you realize that, I mean, family isn't always blood.
That's right.
I mean, Tyson is my brother, and my one biological brother. He and I we're not on great terms. And that's hard. And he was there for me when that fell apart.
Yeah.
And that dude has literally, I don't know if you guys ever met Tyson. He's
Mhm.
huge. He's 6'3", and he is a power lifter.
I've not, but I've seen his the TikToks, and I've seen the latest TikTok where he's basically held you on his shoulders.
Yeah, or that one was a little. Yeah, I almost felt I almost died, but he has literally picked me up off the floor because I broke, I fell apart, and this is the thing, is this is probably the one underlying message that I want to always leave with everybody, of like, there's the cliche, it's okay to not be okay, 100%, but I never want to give anybody the impression that like, hey, I've made it, I am good, I am cured. Like, no, I will be bipolar for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be people that deal with seasonal, situational, chemical, or all different forms of mental health struggles. Sometimes they're going to be there forever. Sometimes you will make it through the light, and sometimes you'll have the worst thing in the world happen and it'll take you right back. The biggest thing is it always comes down to self-awareness and self-love, and giving yourself the love and the respect you need to seek help when it's time, and getting out of your own damn way. Because we don't give ourselves enough credit for the shit that we go through, and I really think that we are at a turning point in history where a lot of us are just saying enough. Like, we're done being told by all of the powers that be, whether you want to call them political, social, religious, whatever, of this is the way you do things. Like, people are sick, and people are tired, and people are broken, and it just comes down to human connection. Because at the end of the day, mental health is something that affects every race, every religion, every gender, every political party, everything. And we all have way more in common than we do that makes us different. And it's those differences that I thrive off of now, like meeting new people and learning how their life is different than mine. And then we make the connection, and we are creatures of connection. People, we crave it. That's why we used to be tribes, and we used to be, we used to be live in these tight-knit organizations, and way back. And so we're all way too secluded now. And so that's why, this is so important. And I will talk till I'm completely out of breath, because it just takes one guy. Or the thing too is, when if we can give a woman a snapshot into a dude's brain, it might help realize that, hey, he can still be the rock. He can still be the tough guy. He can be the protector and the provider, but he can also
that's kind of what your wife did.
Yeah.
And
you can do both.
Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on. I usually like to ask my guests if there's one more thing they could say to probably help somebody out there. What is it that they would say? But you've said it, man.
Oh, I say a lot of stuff. I'm sorry.
And that's the thing. We as guys, we do not need to be afraid. Reach out, talk to somebody. Don't be just a number. Don't be just a statistic.
Yeah.
And it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah. I mean, sit in it. That was the advice I was given today when I was having a spiral moment. Don't try to find an answer. Don't try to justify or reason it away. Sit in it for just a minute, long enough to explore maybe why you're feeling a certain way, and then you'll find it along the way. So I love what you guys are doing. Anytime I have a chance to get on any type of mental health awareness or resource show, I jump on it. So thank you for inviting me. I love what you guys are doing. I'm gonna subscribe to the channel for sure, and just kind of keep with it. I love all this stuff.
Well, we appreciate you, and I love you as a person, and I definitely love what you're doing.
Thanks,
man. To help those who are struggling with mental health. So again, when is that event coming up in August down in Florida?
So it's going to be in Fort Walton Beach, Pensacola area. August 8th, we're going to do a VIP night where we're going to shoot the podcast with Justin Nunley, and so we can you can watch it live, get recorded live. We're going to do a meet and greet. We've got a couple other influencer buddies that are going to come out and do the meet and greet, and we're going to have it that catered that night. And then on August 9th, at 11 a.m., we're going to do, it's at a place called the Gulf Custom Motors. And we're going to do the big beard competition. It is not going to be anything like nationals or worlds. We're going to have like the most basic categories, because it's all for fun and it's all for charity.
That's right.
This organization is called I've Got Your 622, and they provide service dogs and necessary help for veterans and first responders struggling with PTSD. And so it's going to be $25 to enter and compete. It's going to be $10 to come and participate in the show. We're going to have food trucks, fire trucks, SWAT trucks, police cars, all that stuff, and it's all going to be intended to help raise money for the organizations that are helping our heroes out. And yeah, Justin's going to be a big part of it, and then he's shaving my beard off at the end of it, and we're gonna make all kinds of stuff. So
that's great, because I host a beard competition that is also, but it's in line with a tattoo convention.
That's cool,
and I do it every March. Well, the sick side of me said, "Hey, guess what? Let's join forces with another tattoo convention, and let's host one again next June." So I'm doing 2 events next year because
fun.
That's how much I love this community. I like I said, it's not the beard that makes the man; it's the man that makes the man.
I love that. I'm gonna use that. So
you can.
Yeah, I can't. You're a trademark.
Hey, Jason, I need you to trademark that real quick.
Yeah, it's not the man. Yeah. I
but
like
that. Trademark 2025, Ricky Bobby Industries.
Yeah.
Yes. I know you have some other things you need to do, but man, we appreciate you coming on and sharing tonight. And this episode will be up on YouTube for others to watch. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I appreciate you, Logan. I'm gonna kick you to the back. I'm gonna wrap this show up, and then I'll be back to you here in a second.
All right, thanks, guys.
Well, sir, that was it. Through all the technical difficulties and everything, I think that was a damn good show.
Yeah, what a powerful story, and I'm really proud of what he's out there doing for everybody.
Yeah, totally amazing.
And glad he took the time for our little show.
Yeah, well, one day, you say little show, but this show is not little. This show is pretty damn big in my mind, because all it takes is one person. But yeah, man, everybody, thank you for being here almost 2 years. Join us in 2 weeks, because we're going to have another guest on the show, which Jason is excited about this one. Jason, who's going to be our guest that weekend? Do you know?
I have wrote it down on my calendar, but I have that other one that we discussed that I'm trying to work out the details. So that's what's been on my mind the last few days.
So a lady by the name of Bert.
Yes.
That we met in Gent, West Virginia. She's going to come on and she's going to share her story.
Yep.
And so yeah, that's going to be going in 2 weeks, and then a month from then is going to be the second anniversary of Shape the Podcast. You never know what might happen on that episode, but we appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Please share the podcast with your friends, your family, and let's get the word out that it's okay to not be okay, and that sometimes it's okay to cry. Have a great night, everybody. See you in 2 weeks.
Good night, everyone.